Now that we've built a scene with walls and a door and some apparatus sitting on a table, it's time to surface it. We know that we can select objects by either using the Select and Move tool to select them individually by clicking on them, and we can see what we've selected here, or we can go to the Select by Name and find an item from the list, or a number of items from the list, or a long string of items in the list, and click Select to select them. And once we've selected an item, for example the tabletop, we can surface it by going to the Material Editor and applying a surface. Now you'll notice in the top row I've pre-selected wood, checker, stucco, and a number of other surfaces. You can add your own surface, as we talked about earlier, by clicking in an empty slot and clicking here on the Get Material button. This brings up the Material Map browser. I can click on Material Library and browse from it and scroll down until I find something that I find interesting or something that I want to use. For example, dark gold, gold foil texture, and then I just double click on this and it puts it in that slot. For the time being, I'm just going to use these surfaces right here. We're going to surface and then light our scene and then render it to sort of complete this little tutorial. So my tabletop is selected, and I want to apply old wood to my tabletop. So I select this and then click on this button, Assign Material to Selection. And I continue selecting items by either clicking on them or using the List by Name to select them, and I apply surfaces to them. For example, I want to find the door, select it, and then in my Material Editor I want to apply this nice wood ashen surface. So I click Assign Material to Selection, and I continue to do this. So I'm going to go to the Select by Name, and I'm going to select Floor, click Select, and apply this checkered wood surface. Click here, and that applies that to my floor. So you can see now that I've hidden the Material Editor, that my floor has a surface, the table and the legs have surfaces, and I'm just going to continue to do this with all of the surfaces. I'm just going to pause this and do it so you don't have to go through the tedious process of seeing me do the legs and the tables and so forth. Okay, I've finished surfacing everything here, and I'm ready to do a quick render. So I'm going to scroll over here and click on Quick Render Production, and click Continue, and it's going to render out this scene with the surfaces applied to it now. Notice that the rendering window behind here gives me information about this rendering. For example, the status of the rendering, how far along it is, the rendering progress information, the render settings information, the output settings, and so on. I can click pause to pause the rendering process and then resume to resume it, or I can click on cancel to stop it altogether. Since I want to see how this looks, I'm just going to let it run its course.